Hello everyone. Recently in the Lockpickers United dojo, where the black belts convene to talk about the drinks that they're having and the locks that they're not picking, it came up with the idea that maybe we should have a gold standard video for what we expect from a high-level belt submission, and more specifically black belt. So black belt is the highest scrutiny that you will ever go under if you are to pick a lock. You have to perfectly keep your lock in frame for the entire video. You have to gut it on camera no matter what, even if it's a destructive gut. And you also have to make sure that everything is shown perfectly. So some things before we get into it. Two things to consider. Camera angle. If you're picking, you're allowed a wide angle, but when you're gutting, I would recommend a smaller angle like what I'm recording with right now. Second is lighting. Lighting is extremely important. A camera from the Stone Age can look good if you have the correct lighting. The biggest detractor of camera quality, and therefore the ability for us as people who look at your videos to be able to make the judgment of whether or not it passes or not, is your lighting. If you go on Amazon, you can spend $15 and you can get a really decent ring light. If you have a phone that was made in the last 15 years, it should have a flash on it. Both of these are acceptable. I started recording with my phone on a stack of books. As it stands, this is a slightly higher tech mount. It doesn't matter as long as you keep everything in shot. So, today I will be gutting this ASSATwin Maximum Plus. It's a Twin V10 patent extension. I think it's the most recent patent extension. I think it happened in some like 2013 or something. It is a 6-pin top pins and 5 side pins. I chose it because it has everything that I will need to be able to properly demonstrate everything, and which is good, because if I chose something else on my desk like the Skull Z, it wouldn't have a sidebar, which is important to show. So, if you have a key with your lock, use the key on the lock. Show that it works. You would be surprised at how many applications have been saved because we were able to verify that the key pins inside were put the right way up with a key. It also shows that the sidebar bitting is correct if you have a sidebar lock. There are two ways to gut a lock. There is the classic way through the back, or there is the much nicer way in a lot of locks, which is through the top. Not everyone has a lock that can be gutted through the top, so I'll be gutting the classic way today to show everyone. You must, in every belt video, have core retention on your lock. If you don't, some locks like the ASSA 600 or 700 are much easier to pick if you have the clip off, because you can pull it forwards. It's a good rule of thumb to always have core retention. So we'll take off the 2 screws and the core retention back plate here. And now, especially if you have the key, it's a good idea to show that it works. If you don't have the key, obviously you would want to keep the core turned. And I'll use a full one. Normally I have a metal one. Today I don't, because I have misplaced it. So make sure everything comes through. And make sure that you keep the body in frame. First of all, if you have a sidebar, show your sidebar. Show that it's intact and that it has all of its fingers. This is a huge part of the twin locks especially. Once you've done that, show that there were springs inside for the sidebar, because they do need to be sprung. And you can show off your true and false gates on your side pins now. You should also show your your key pins rather. Now then, making sure everything's still there. If you're like me and you're paranoid about stuff going out of shot, you can always take a wider angle like this, and you can get yourself a bit more hand space. It doesn't particularly matter for me, but yes. So I will dump out the key pins 1, and again, as long as the lock doesn't, let's get the focus back. As long as the lock doesn't fully go out of frame, it's fine. So you can have it go close, but as long as it stays in frame, it's okay. There have been a few close calls, but common sense prevails. If you think it has gone out, be your own worst enemy and re-record. Once you've gotten the top, your key pins out rather, you want to show the core. In a lot of these locks, you will have milling. Show not only with good lighting and your pick, but show both sides. You will only interact with one side when you pick, generally speaking, because you'll pick either clockwise or counterclockwise. But it's a good idea to show both and show it in good lighting. Finally, let's take out the side pins from the core. And these are V10 side pins. They're, well, technically they're not, but they're V10 style side pins, which means that they're coded, which is to say they come out like this and they have a true gate between 2 false gates. So I'll put them out like this. It's important to show the true gates and the false gates, but if you keep everything in frame, you'll be able to do that all at the end, which I will show you. And there are side pin springs, which, you know, ideally you will show, but I just dump them out for the sake of brevity. Once you're done, have a final look at the core, show that there's nothing fishy happening inside of the side pin slots or in the sidebar groove, and show the keyway one last time, and you can be done with the core. Now comes the most important part. Your top pins are the hardest thing to get right, but they are also the most important thing to get right. Again, I almost went off, but importantly, I did not. So, I will show you how to do it. Ideally, I would not have obscured that with my hand, but it doesn't really matter. When you are dealing with a lock where you have to show the orientations, especially even if you don't, it's good practice to have lighting directly down the core where you're going to be gutting. So I'll show you. So with this, it has barrels inside, but let's pretend it has gins. I would push it to be where you can just see the pin, and you would be able to see the gin head here if it was a gin. It's not, so it's not. And once that you see it like this, you can push it and you can let it slowly come up. You can push against a top pin with the folder to have it stop for a small bit, which is a pretty cool physics fact, which helps in gutting. We'll do the same thing for 2. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then it comes out. 3, we'll do the same thing, slowly, 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 and with good lighting. Now, here is where the important part comes. Once you've done 3 in a 6-pin lock or 4 in a 7-pin lock, go from the back. It's the easiest way to maintain your lighting and make sure that everything stays in frame. So we see that there is a pin there. Slowly, and show it. That's pin 6. Again for pin 5. And finally, pin 4. Very tall barrel. Your springs, it would be good if you showed them all, but obviously you can just dump them out. It's not really the craziest part of the lock. I've just dropped my easy gut cap as well. Finally, look at the core. Show that the body. Show that there is a sidebar groove where the sidebar must be. There are some lock formats where the sidebar groove doesn't exist. Some 600 formats don't, and you can put cores into them, which is obviously disingenuous. We want to be able to see that that has not happened. So show all of your stuff. Ideally, you should show that there is nothing happening in the top chambers. Put it to the side, and one final look at your pins is good enough. You can zoom in now if you would like. And on these, you should ideally make sure that you can see all of the false gates, which you can in all but a few. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If you must, you can always go one by one with your fingers. Like that. Otherwise, again, you've done everything right if you follow this video to a T. In all honesty, what I've done here would probably raise a few eyebrows because of the close calls that I've had, but we would pass it, no matter what. The video descriptions, or like the rules that we have for the videos, sound strict, but they are relatively simple once you know what to do. I have, had a few fumbles in this video, but all in all, it was clean, and the gutting was precise on camera. Don't be afraid to take your time. Don't worry if it's a half-hour long video, if it's 2-hour long video. We're going to have to watch through it, so, it would be good if you put timestamps in the description as well, but it's not like it's going to be the end of the world if you don't. Otherwise, that's all you need to do to have your video accepted into the Black Belt Dojo, really. Like, it's not that hard. You just have to be meticulous, go slow, as I've said, if you would like, and just make sure, double check you've got everything on camera. If you're not sure if you've shown an element, show it again. You don't need to worry so long as it's all in one take. Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day.